Hi everybody, welcome to the second week of the management modules 9 and 10. This week we're going to be focusing on you as an individual, you as a leader. And in the first module, the focus is going to be on trying to identify and build on your strengths. So oftentimes as we're trying to develop our skills and develop ourselves, we focus on the areas where we're deficient or we think we need to improve. We'll actually do that in Module 10, but Module 9 is all about identifying, reflecting on, and celebrating your strengths. So, excuse me, in the resources, you'll see a video from Marcus Buckingham. So this idea of Strengths Finders, if you've heard of that before, Clifton Strength Finders website, I have posted. I've got a couple of links based on talking about your strengths and the value of strengths. We're also going to look at learning styles and have you reflect on your preference there. So in terms of assessments, complete the VIA Character Strengths Survey. This is free. You click online. It takes you a few minutes to go through it. And then it gives you your top 5 character strengths. There are no bad answers. There are no bad results. These are all strengths. These are all positive characteristics. And the tool is just trying to identify your top 5. You can do an online assessment for the Kolb Learning Styles Inventory. It's $35. Yeah, there it says. We've had some problems with the technology and getting the results back, so that's not required anymore. You could look through the slides and try to self-diagnose or do a self-assessment on learning styles. So I've got some readings, I've got some slides. So your written assignment is to reflect on the results from the VIA. So what are your top 5 strengths? And then you can talk about any other strengths assessments that you've taken. Pick a couple of your top strengths, talk about how you're using them. Think about times you've overused. So any characteristic overuse can be a problem. How can you increase the use of your top strengths in your work or life? And how can you help others identify and use their strengths? So if you can give someone else feedback on what you see as their strengths, that will be helpful, because we never really know until somebody else tells us. So the discussion board here is to have you share with the class what your learning style is like, what's your ideal situation, your worst learning situation, and think about how you would like your manager to help you learn something new. So ideally, you will describe your own learning style, but you'll get to learn from others about those other learning styles, because you probably work with somebody who has a preference in a different category. Clearly, you've made it to a graduate program, so you're able to learn in all these different ways. This is just trying to identify your preference. So if we go to the next module, the last management module, here we're going to be looking at emotional intelligence. So I've got an article for you and a few videos along with some slides to explain the idea of emotional intelligence. Hopefully you've heard of this before, and some of you have probably already been through some assessments and some training. But basically the idea of emotional intelligence is that you develop the ability to be aware of and manage emotions in yourself and others. And this is really the key to developing effective relationships. So for your individual written assignment, I'm going to ask you to identify 3 competencies you feel very confident in and describe an example. Select 3 competencies that you'd like to improve on given whatever your current career or life goals are, and identify ways, create an action plan for actually improving those and developing them. And then finally, the discussion here, this can be interesting. I'm going to ask you to share an example on the discussion board of a specific competency being used well, someone who has high EI, and then identify an example of EI being used poorly, someone who has low EI, and you can use any kind of example. So I have given you a couple videos. You can use movies, literature, example from your life, example from your own workplace experience, just so we get a look at or try to understand better what are the behaviors that go along with the EI competencies. So hopefully this is a positive week to think about your strengths and your emotional intelligence. So let me know if you have any questions.